So that's what I was if you hit record. So x times x is x squared, but you also have a 2. What times what gives you a 2? Or what are the factors of 2? Well, for this one, you're lucky because it's only 1 and 1 times 2, right? It's got to be 2 times 1. So 2 times 1, won't that give us 2x squared? So that part, it's not too bad sometimes. And then where do we go from there? Where did we always go after we get the first thing right? Where do you go next? Come on, tell me where to go. I know you've been waiting to tell me where to go. Down to the end, right? You go down to the 9. And same as before, you ask yourself, what factor pairs give you 9? Well, there are only 2. It's either 1 times 9 or 3 times 3. But the way that you figure out which pair, remember before we just said it had to subtract to 7? Well, guess what? The way it is right here, none of those subtract to 7. It's not prime. When you have a number out here, it's a little bit different. When you have a number out there, what you have to rely on are the inside outside. You've got to rely on this and this. And now, instead of just one of these subtracting to 7, now I have to rely on the inside and the outside to subtract to 7. So, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, if you like to do this, there's a little bit of guess and check in here now. And you sort of have to just kind of pick. Sometimes after you do these over and over and over, you start to maybe be able to see it without having to check it. But you have to just pick one of those. 1 and 9. Let's pick 1 and 9. If I put 1 and 9 in there, what do I get here? A 1x. And what do I get here? An 18x. Is this combination going to subtract to 7? No. And since there's a 2 here now, though, what about if I switch them the other way and put the 9 here and the 1 here? Will that combination work? What does that give you? Oh, that's a 2x. What does that give you? Does that combination subtract to 7? It actually does, doesn't it? So the combination, 9x take away 2x, that subtracts to 7. So it looks like we got it on the second try, possibly. Now what about the signs? It's negative here. How do I multiply those two numbers and get a negative? That's got to be one of each, right? A positive and a negative. Now, remember before how we decided you picked the bigger number and whatever this middle was, that's what the bigger number got? Well, it's sort of, except not the bigger number, it's the bigger combination. Which combination is bigger? The 9x, right? The 9x right there has to get the positive. The 9x gets the positive, that means this is going to be the negative. So, how do I put that in up here? This 9 has to be the positive to get the 9x. Here, the negative, the 1 has to get the negative so that it's negative 2x down there, right? And you sort of already did your inside-outside double check then, right? That's the 9x, and that's the negative 2x. So there you go. Does that sort of make sense? We'll do about 12 more just for fun. We'll do about 12 more just for fun. I don't like that one. I don't like that one either. How about this one? No, I don't like that one either. What if I don't like any of them? How about this one? How about this one? Squared plus 7m plus 2. Anything common to all of those? Anything common, first of all? No, right? So start here. I've got a 3m squared. What times what gives me 3m squared? What times what gives me 3m squared? What does it have to be? Well, the m squared has to be m and m. Ooh, I love M&Ms. M&M? How do I get a 3? Well, again, we're lucky because there's only one possibility. It's got to be 3m and 1m, right? No other possibilities. And down here, guess what? We're just as lucky. We got a 1 and a 2. However, because I have this, it's going to matter which one I put where. Remember, we want to have our inside and our outside add up to 7. They have to add up to 7. So let's just try if I put 2 and 1 there. What do I get here? 2m. What do I get here? 3m. Does that add up to 7? No. Does that mean it's prime? No. What else could we do? If it doesn't work like this, what else can you do? Switch them around. Yep. So it takes just a little bit more to get these, I think, but it's not that hard. Oh, unless you're like me and I talk so much I forget which one was where. I think this is right. Then when I switch them around, I can't remember. What do you get here? 1m. What do you get here? 6m. Does that add up to 7? Yes, yes it does. So you got the numbers right. Now, what about the signs? Well, the signs you sort of do the same way. I've got a positive down there. How do I multiply and get a positive? Positive times positive or negative times negative. The way we decided before is the way we decide today. Whatever's there. So that means when you multiply positive 1 times, you get 1m. When you multiply this positive 2 times 3m. And what do you get if you combine those? There you go. Is it sort of making sense? If you can do the other stuff, I think you'll be okay with this one. I had some people, you know, the inside-outside double check. I don't think it was this class, but they would have like plus 2m, take away 3m, and it's supposed to add up to 7m, and that's why they call it a double check. It should equal, right? And then they just left it and moved on. Do you have any questions so far? Sort of making sense? Anybody with questions so far? How about one more just for fun? You sort of getting it, you think? One more. I'll do one more. While we're waiting to do this one more, I'm curious to know, anybody who does the videos at home, are you doing okay with the videos? Is there anything I can do to make it better? And I know it's not the greatest situation, but I realize that sometimes when I write in other colors, it might be harder to see. So I've been trying to stick to the black a little bit when I record. And you know how quiet my voice is. I've been really trying to speak up when I record. Because you know, sometimes I can be quiet. Hard to hear. Right, Braden? Anyway, so what about this one? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We were lucky here. 3 had to be 1 times 3, and 2 had to be 1 times 2. Uh-oh. 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 I got a 14 there. And I have a couple possibilities.
Hi, Mrs. Mace. Can I talk to you for a second?
Yes.
Oh, here.
You're good. Thank you. I stayed 6 feet away. I'm good. So, 14. What do I have for a 14? A couple possibilities. I've got 1 times 14, and I have 2 times 7. 1 and 14, 2 and 7. And right away, I don't know if I would put anything in there because I got a couple possibilities. So in that case, when I have a couple possibilities for the first one, I usually move down to the last one. Look down here. Do I have any possibilities for the 5? That one, no, right? That one, it has to be 1 and 5. So that's good. At least we know something. That one has to be 1 and 5. So you know over here how we had to switch around that second number? Well, guess what we're going to have to do here? Switch around, only this time it's the first number instead of the second. So what do you think you'd like to try, 1 and 14 or 2 and 7? 2 and 7? 2 and 7. Like this? 7x, 2x? Like that? What do you get? Oh boy. Oh boy. That's a 35x. Uh-oh. And that's a 2x inside. Is that going to add to 17? I think not. So now what? Flip them, switch them. So, yeah, you help me remember which one I had where, because usually I get to talking and forget. So, oh boy, what goes here? 2x? And 7x. Now what do I get? That's a 7x, and that one is a 10x. Does that add to 17? Yes. So we know at least the number part is good. What if it didn't add to 17? Then what would you do? Right. You'd throw out 1 and 14 and try 2, or you'd throw out 2 and 7 and try 1 and 14 instead, right? How about the signs? Well, the signs really aren't anything new for this one. It's a positive here. How do you multiply 1 times 5 and get positive? It's either positive, positive, or negative, negative. Right? Which one? Which one? Negative, negative. So here I get negative 7x, and here I get negative 5 times negative 10x. That should add up to negative 17, and it does, right? Oh, are we having fun yet? Aren't we having fun? Aren't we having fun? How about this one? How about this one? How about this one? Oh, this, I saved the best for last. I saved the best for last. 6x squared minus 11x minus 10. 6x squared minus 11x minus 10. Oh boy. Look at the first one. I have 6. That could be 1 and 6, 2 and 3. I don't know which. So I'm going to go to the end, see if I can figure out anything at the end. Uh-oh, but it's a 10. Could be 1 and 10, could be 2 and 5. Now what? Now what? I know that my inside, outside, oh, look at my smiling face. My inside, outside has to subtract to 11. How are we going to figure that out? Well, you want to know something? Right now, your guess is as good as mine. I would have to do the same thing that you're going to have to do, and that is guess. Guess and check. And sometimes you can look at the middle number and say, oh, look at, that's a really big number. I better try the big combination. But I needed to subtract to 11. Anybody want to take a guess? What should we try, Carter?
3 and 2. 3 and 2 and 2 and 5.
He says, why don't we try the 2x and 3x and 2 and 5? We'll try this one and this one. I don't know if they're going to work, but we need a combination that's going to subtract to 11. What do I get here? 10x. What do I get here? 6x. So that one is not going to subtract to 11, but that's okay. Let's try flipping a pair right here. Let's try flipping that one. Put the 5 and the 2, and then see what we get. What do you get here? 15x. And what do you get here? 4x. Is that going to subtract to 11? You lucked out. Or maybe you were able to see. That's going to subtract to 11 right there, isn't it? What about the signs? Now I have a negative. This one's different than the other two we just did. This one's negative. That means it's got to be one of each, a positive and a negative. But I have a negative in the middle. That means the bigger one of these has to be the negative. And this one is the positive. How do I get this combination to be negative? I have to put the negative sign there. And how do I get this combination? 2 times 2x. That one has to be the positive, right? So a little bit of thinking and a little bit of trial and error and a whole lot of fun. Or maybe just a little bit. So that's about it. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. Do you have questions? Do you have questions, anybody? I guess it's not that hard if you could do the other stuff, it's just maybe a little bit tedious. Tedious. So, what do we have? We are going to go page 222. 222. WE 1 through 11, but I have a little gift for you. Number 7 is prime. I'm not going to do that to you yet. I'm going to tell you number 7 is prime, and all the others you should be able to factor. I'm not going to give you any primes yet. We have a hard enough time like figuring out the ones we know have answers. So number 7 is prime, and that's the only prime.